Hey everyone, I'm Chris and welcome to my brand new channel, Canada Sports Guide. As a Canadian and as a sports fan, I often come across names of athletes I've never heard of before, only to find out that they come from the Great White North. So I thought, let's bring attention to these individuals, and I thought what better way to do so than to break down Canada's first World Cup match in almost 40 years. So if you have seen the game, yes, I will be talking about that moment, actually a couple moments. But let's do a little bit of background on Canada's history at the World Cup before we really get into that. So up to this point, Canada's only been involved in one prior World Cup, and that was back in Mexico in 1986, the tournament best remembered for the late Diego Maradona's Hand of God goal. So fun fact, it was so long ago that 1986 also featured the West Germany team. Canada's team in 1986 bowed out at the group stage, going 0-3, with a goal difference of -5. And since then, national success has been so distant that I'm sure most people didn't even know that Canada had a men's national soccer team. It's definitely been a while for Canada at the World Cup. So leading up to this year's World Cup, Canada had been on a tear, climbing up the standings in the CONCACAF division, or the Confederation of North, Central American, and Caribbean Association Football. Canada went and took the top spot with 8 wins, 4 draws, 2 losses for a total of 28 points, beating Mexico on goal difference. Canada also held 2 of the top 3 scorers, with Kyle Larin and Jonathan David scoring 13 goals and 9 goals apiece. So suffice to say, there was a lot of excitement building up into yesterday's match. Belgium ranked number 2 in the world, Canada ranked number 41. And of course, the big talk was Belgium's lineup, and it features some of the biggest names in football, such as Manchester City's Kevin De Bruyne, Real Madrid's Eden Hazard, Atletico's Madrid Axel Witsel, and Inter Milan's Romelu Lukaku, who was stapled to the bench in the game yesterday. So obviously in the build-up to yesterday's match, everyone was talking about Belgium's star-studded lineup, but I think despite its dark horse status, Canada's roster has got quite a few names of its own. Obviously, everyone knows the sort of face of the men's national team in Alphonso Davies, who plays for Bayern Munich. You have Jonathan David, who plays in France's top tier for Lille. You've got Steven Eustáquio, who is now playing for Porto. And then the aforementioned Kyle Larin, who plays in Belgium for Club Brugge, along with fellow Canadian Tajon Buchanan. So both teams have experienced European players. Belgium obviously does hold the advantage in having World Cup experience, but if you saw the game or have watched the highlights, Canada came out flying. And I'll be honest, I was sort of on the edge of my seat for the entire game, but I have to say those first 15 minutes that was talked about in the pregame of how important that would be in terms of not letting Belgium sort of get foothold in the game. And I think Canada did a really great job of sort of shutting down Belgium's attack. So we were able to get a lot of crosses into the box, but obviously we just couldn't capitalize. Belgium got in the way of a lot of shots, deflecting stuff out of bounds. And so Canada's really big chance, which obviously is sort of the talking point right now, is that penalty that was awarded, and Alphonso Davies took the shot, but it was saved by Belgium's keeper and Courtois. And you sort of saw a momentum shift after that. And I think, Belgium was able to press a little bit more upfield. And Canada did a really good job sort of shutting that down and really bogging up that midfield. We were able to win a lot of battles and a lot of key interceptions to sort of counterattack and push against that Belgium net. So I think it was at the end of the first half, Canada had some 14 chances on net and nothing to show for it. And I think obviously that penalty came back to haunt them as sort of the best chance of the game. And of course, then in sort of the waning minutes of that first half, Michy Batshuayi, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, I was able to, sort of split the Canadian defenders. It was a long ball through and scored the game-deciding goal. So then going into the second half, it was much of the same. And Canada, as much as they tried to press for offense, they just couldn't break those Belgian defenders. And let's be honest here, Canada really didn't do themselves any favors. Jonathan David sent a couple headers wide at the post, and there's a couple of Buchanan shots. One of them stands out in my head. Would have earned you 3 points in the CFL for a field goal, but obviously didn't trouble Courtois. It just sailed right over the net. So the best chance of the second half was Kyle Laren's header in the 79th minute, but Courtois had to stop for that too. So in the end, Canada put 21 shots towards Belgium's net. Only 3 of them were on target. And so despite Belgium having a lot more of the possession, I felt like Canada was really able to dominate large parts of the game. And they really controlled the pace of play, especially in the midfield. Lots of nice passing. I forget who it was, but the highlight there is able to chip it over the defender, get past them. Steven Eustachio made Kevin De Bruyne look like he was standing still at one point. So, Canada's pace and the quality of their passing was really great to see. And I was wondering to myself if, Canada was going to be a little nervous coming into the game. Obviously, never played in the World Cup before with this squad. And I'm almost wondering if those nerves sort of happened in front of net, because they just could not find a way through. I also just want to address there was a blatant missed penalty. I think it was Buchanan that got tripped up in the box. And so there's actually a little bit of controversy. There was one where the Canadian player was coming back from an offside position, but then this one happened that I'm talking about happened a few minutes later. Buchanan is taking it up the wing, gets tripped up, bit of a push there. And it was ruled as a goal kick, but you can clearly see the Belgian player sort of got in there with the feet and tripped him up. And it's really unfortunate, because I think, if Canada's awarded, another penalty there, that at that time would have allowed us to take the lead in the game. So would that have been the decision maker one way or the other? Who knows? But it is unfortunate that the penalty did get missed. So obviously Belgium wins 1-0, and I think for me and for most people I talked to, it was really frustrating, because it's not like Canada got blown out, and it wasn't like it was a 4-0 Belgium win, in which case you say, we're here, we tried, but it was a really tight game, a really good game, and I think that's why it hurts so much. But up next, we go against a Croatian team. They tied Morocco, and I think if Canada can really put in that same level of effort and have a little bit more poise in front of net, I think Canada is going to score that first goal for team history, and then possibly even their first win too. Who will score Canada's first goal in the World Cup? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed the video. Welcome to the channel. And yeah, I wish you all the best wherever you are in the world. And go Canada. We'll be right back here after the Croatia match.